I love you.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, aka the Shy Kid, and you're listening to an Everything Chicago sports related podcast. Welcome to Mike on the Mic, where we break down everything Chicago Bears, Cubs, Sky, Bulls, Blackhawks, sometimes the White Sox. We break down everything Chicago sports. It's going to be an absolute blast tonight. We're talking about, obviously, my favorite thing in the world, Justin Fields as the franchise quarterback of the Chicago Bears. Now, why are we talking about it on January 30th, 2024, when we have nothing, absolutely nothing Chicago Bears related going on for at least the next, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks? But with that being said, I want to talk about everything NFL playoffs right now because it's really important. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to the boys. The boys from the Michigan State, gotta give them some love. The Detroit Lions did their thing. 2 playoff wins. I have seen 0 playoff wins in my life going into this season, as in my 24 years of life. 0 for the Detroit Lions. And this year I saw 2. So congratulations to the Detroit Lions on one hell of a season. We're not poking jokes. We're not making fun of them. What a phenomenal season for Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. The fan base deserves it, undoubtedly. I mean, I've never really met a Detroit Lions fan that I didn't like. I mean, they're very humble. They're real fans. They remind me so much of Bears fans because they understand the pain and the suffering that comes with being an NFL sports fan. But with that being said, talking about what they were able to accomplish, the Detroit Lions were 1 touchdown away from going to the Super Bowl. And why that's important in today's conversation is we're going to be talking about Justin Fields and the case that he's made in his career thus far with the Chicago Bears to why he should be the franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future. In the 2 games played against the Detroit Lions this year, Justin Fields was absolutely phenomenal. He went 1-1 in the 2 games played, 1 win in the final outing, and then lost the beginning of the game. But let's talk about it. Justin Fields, in their first matchup, they lose the game 26-31. Justin Fields on the day was 16 for 23 with 169 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions, and 18 carries for 104 yards and 0 rushing touchdowns. But Justin Fields was absolutely phenomenal in that game. He was able to keep the ball within his range and not throwing bad balls. He's not throwing interceptions, not causing turnovers. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. The Chicago Bears come up short, but when you give up 31 points, it's obvious that this team is offensively limited under Luke Getsy. So 26 points in the first outing doesn't have a horrible performance. This isn't the greatest performance, but it's not a horrible performance. Now, the second game, the Chicago Bears beat the Detroit Lions 28-13. Justin Fields is absolutely phenomenal. He's 19 for 33 on the day, 223 passing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions, and 12 carries for 58 rushing yards. Justin Fields was absolutely dominating and carving up Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions offense. And that's very important for me. It's very important for me that in those 2 outings against not only the division champs, but a team that went to the NFC Championship and was less than a touchdown away from going to the Super Bowl, Justin Fields looked good against them. I think that's really important for the conversation tonight. You have to understand, if your team isn't getting quality wins, that's one thing. If you're not performing well, against bad teams, against good teams, against elite teams, if you just look horrible on every cylinder, it's a bad look. It's a very bad look. So for Justin Fields to be 1-1 against the Detroit Lions this year, have 0 interceptions in both games against this quality defense, and understanding that he was a huge part to averaging 27 points per game against the Detroit Lions as an offense, with Luke Getsy as his offensive coordinator. Now, I want to take this back to 2022 because we're going to talk about a couple teams today that are NFC playoff caliber teams, big names, 2 teams that have been in the Super Bowl within the last 2 years. Justin Fields against the Philadelphia Eagles in 2022, they lose that game 25-20 in a 1-score game. Justin Fields on the day, 14 for 21, 152 passing yards, 95 rushing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. I think that's really important when we talk about what Justin Fields is able to do against quality teams. This was a Nick Sirianni team that was the #1 team in the NFL throughout the entire year. This was the best team in the NFC. They went to the Super Bowl just to be defeated by Patrick Mahomes. We know who Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are. We're not going to sit here and act like that's, not a quality loss, I guess you could call that, for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it's a dynasty. So for Justin Fields to play well against the Philadelphia Eagles in their Super Bowl year is really important. On top of that, I know, and this one's gonna get some people upset because I'm gonna use it. The monsoon game in Week 1 against Trey Lance. I understand there was no Christian McCaffrey, there was no Brock Purdy, but that still was a team that in recent years had gone to the Super Bowl, not including this year, and it was a team that was very respected throughout the entire league. Trey Lance was supposed to be the rising star. Jimmy Garoppolo also comes into that game. You know who Jimmy is. He's been to a Super Bowl before. Won one with the Patriots organization, went to one with the 49ers. In that game, the Chicago Bears win 19-10. 8 for 17 on the day, 100 and what did I write down? 121 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 11 carries for 28 yards. It was in the monsoon, so, things didn't look great. But again, a win against the Lions, a win against the 49ers, and 2 quality losses against the Lions and the Eagles. The Chicago Bears may not have looked great in either of those games, but you have to take into consideration Justin Fields is balling out against elite defenses. Justin Fields is balling out against Super Bowl caliber teams, at least contenders. Maybe we're not going to call them Super Bowl caliber. We'll just call them playoff contenders, if that makes everybody feel better. Like Justin Fields' ability to do that, and especially in 2022 when all he had was Dante Pettis and Byron Pringle because Darnell Mooney's injured, Chase Claypool couldn't catch a cold. And, you're at this point in the season where it's like, we're just that bad. You know what I mean? The offensive line is horrible. Luke Getsy is horrible. The defense was horrible. You know what I mean? So, at that point, though, you understand where we're at. You want to talk about Caleb Williams. You want to talk about drafting a quarterback #1 overall. There's a lot of questions. Is Caleb Williams a generational talent? I saw a lot of people getting upset today on 670 The Score about the Patrick Mahomes comparisons. And of course, rightfully so. Patrick Mahomes is 1 of 1. But everybody has a comp. You know what I mean? Everybody has a comp. I remember Zach Wilson got the Patrick Mahomes comparisons as well. And that's exactly the point. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what you're going to get with Caleb Williams. You don't know what you're going to get with Drake May. For consistency's sake, I'm not just singling out Caleb Williams. There's any quarterback in the draft. Drafting #1 overall, if I'm not mistaken, there is a 60% chance of failure of any NFL team drafting a quarterback #1 overall. It's just real. There's not a high probability. So when you have those conversations and you say, okay, what are we going to do? What can we do? What do we already know? What do we not know? What I do know is that Justin Fields can win football games. Can he win the biggest game? Can he win the Super Bowl? I don't know. But can this team win games under Justin Fields? This season proved that. Even with Luke Getsy, even with the injuries, even with the Tyson Bagent stuff, there were a lot of questions, and he answered a lot of them. So, with that, there's a lot of stuff that goes down at the end of the day. I understand Ryan Poles has a very, very hard conversation to have with not only himself but his camp. And I'm sure he's already had it. He brings in Matt Eberflus, and from what we understand, Flus was very vocal about defending Justin Fields. Not to say that he said, I need Justin Fields to be my quarterback, but, we don't know what those conversations were like behind closed doors. Obviously, they're not going to give their hand and say that, Fields is QB1 before they trade or figure out what they're going to do with that draft pick at number 1 overall. But, when you talk about what's important, I think winning against good teams is important. I think playing well against better teams is important. You know what I mean? Like there's levels to this. And I think when you look at Justin Fields in 2023, if this was the end of the 2022 season, I would have to agree of drafting Caleb Williams. I would have to agree because he didn't look good against the Lions in 2022. He didn't look good against a lot of teams in 2022. And mind you, he didn't have DJ Moore. He didn't have, Darnell Wright, a healthy Tevin Jenkins, Nate Davis, guys like that. A better defense who led the league in interceptions and was the best run-stopping defense in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of things that changed. Don't get it twisted. But I think from what we saw in 2023 with the sample size in the games that he was healthy, it's really important. You can't just overlook it. I think it's one of those conversations that you're going to have a really hard time talking about Justin Fields moving on from the Chicago Bears. You're going to look back on that and go, damn. Because here's the thing. We talk about the Patrick Mahomes stuff a lot. We talk about, the Bears could have had Patrick Mahomes. The Bears could have did this. The Bears could have did that. Here's the biggest one for me that I think is the biggest kicker. Could you imagine the Chicago Bears, let's say for sake of argument, let's just pick a team. The Chicago Bears trade Justin Fields for the number 8 overall pick, or they trade Justin Fields for a second-round pick to the Atlanta Falcons. And within 2-3 years, Justin Fields not only wins a conference championship, but makes it to a conference champion. Even a conference championship. We're not even talking Super Bowl. Let's just talk about conference championship. Let's say for sake of argument, he makes it to the conference championship. Winning records, winning division titles with the Atlanta Falcons organization. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Justin Fields. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It could be. You know what I mean? So if we see that happen as Bears fans and Caleb Williams and the Bears still haven't made the playoffs or still haven't won a playoff game or division title, and Justin Fields is out there winning titles, winning playoff games, whatever, the conversation goes on. We're going to sit here and say, man, we had him. We had the guy and we ran him out of town because we didn't think he was good enough, because he didn't throw 4,000 yards in a season, because he didn't throw 300 yards a game, and we ran him out of town. Like the formula is there with Shane Walden and what the Chicago Bears organization are going to potentially do. Eric Washington, Matt Eberflus. They're going to look great. I truly believe that. Whatever quarterback they have, I believe they're going to put together the right pieces to have success. So I'm excited about that. But I think what's more important is who's your leader, who's QB1, who's the guy you're going to war with. And Justin's that guy for me. Justin not only has the statistics to back that up against teams like the Lions, like the Eagles, like the 49ers, but he just shows you every single time this guy's going out there taking hit after hit after hit, and he's getting back up. He does not point fingers. He just next man up, next play mentality. Let's ride. And that's really where I'm at right now as it comes to Justin Fields. As it pertains to the number 1 overall pick, back-to-back years, if you were to tell me that we had back-to-back number 1 overall picks and we didn't use either of them, of course, you're kind of like, is that good? But, it's hard. It's hard to have those conversations when you're a general manager in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, were you going to get a star wide receiver like DJ Moore, who in year 1 is going to have over 1,300 yards, over 8 touchdowns, a 8-0 in touchdown interception ratio with Justin Fields? They were great. Not one interception when targeting DJ Moore. That's great. You know what I mean? Were we going to get that out of a rookie wide receiver? Probably not. You know what I mean? You could have paired him up with Jackson Smith and Jigba, no problem. But, DJ Moore. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not upset about that, but it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. It's a little short, a bit of an episode. I know it's pretty late, so if anybody's been in here for a while, I truly do appreciate you. If you guys are new here, make sure to smack that follow button at theshy.kid on Instagram and TikTok. We will be going live every day covering Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Sky, Blackhawks, sometimes the White Sox, and anything really big, MLB, NBA, or NFL news. But with that being said, man, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll check you guys out later. Have a blessed night. Have an amazing Tuesday. Start the day off right. Eat your Wheaties. I'll check you guys out later. Peace.